A-N.
What?
Hi, I'm Adam West.
That's Uncle Art.
A real superhero?
Quad 4 Alpha Omega Galaxy needs a large cheese and sausage thin crust.
He's a
Pizza delivery guy.
2 bat burgers, medium rare.
Singing is contagious. I'll sing too.
Adam West, Adam West.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't stay long. I'm on a case. The Penguin's in town. Red alert! Man your battle stations! Status report, Mr. Fish.
Watch it, chum. Put us you're in safety.
Oh, sure.
My name isn't Adam Wee. Or is it?
Hey kids, Batman!
See, here's a picture of me with Robin.
Who the hell's Robin?
Oh my God.
You jolly devil.
You gonna cuff me or what?
Toodaloo. I'll come out when they're all gone.
Well, we're delighted to have a little bit of time to talk with the Adam West.
Just let me say what a pleasure it is to be with you folks at the U of N, and I feel like a real Cornhusker tonight. But thank you. In this wonderful old theater, I had no idea that it would be this kind of setting, but I feel very comfortable here because I'm so old, and so is the theater. Animal, let me tell you, I've put 5, 6 kids through college, my wife and I. And it wasn't easy because it's very expensive. So when I got the offer from Nebo to come to promote their bookstores and the textbook situation, I said yes, because they showed me that they could save students money with their textbooks. They could rent them, they could buy them, and they would not only match any deal, but they'd go 10% below. So I thought, well, maybe I should do that. It's not a bad thing, and they pay me.
You know, everybody can use a little help at college, as you know, by having all those kids that you've had go through college. So yeah, it makes sense. Let's start off with Batman. Let's start off with, those that remember the beauty of the Batman series of the 60s. And of course, the over-the-top kind of antics, and the very, celebrity villains, if you will, how, over the top they were. Always doling out the punishments and delivering a lesson, and the viewers at home. Even I remember these, running home as a kid to watch them as reruns when I was a kid and loving them and just loving the show. It didn't matter how old it was, I loved the show. So how much of that character, was you? And how much of it was written for the show?
Well, I think, when you accept to play some kind of thing that's on paper, you really try to give credence to and enhance whatever the writers had in mind. Now, they'd seen a commercial that I'd done before I started Batman, in which I did a spoof on James Bond. And they said, hey, that's the turkey who could play Batman. But what happened was they could see the humor and the seriousness for the kids. So to do it on several levels was my intent, and the intention of everyone with whom I was associated on the show. And I think in doing that, we got a full family spectrum audience, and it's had a great longevity.
In fact, let's take a look at some of the moments from the classic, the original Batman series. Let's take a look at some of those now. Some of your memorable moments as Batman.
Get ready, Gotham City. It's TV's classic Batman.
Hold it, Riddler.
You know my aide, Kato? Robin, the boy wonder.
Gosh, Batman, what are they dressed like that for?
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
It's all over, Catwoman. I'll do everything I can to rehabilitate you.
Marry me.
Everything except that.
Better put 5 cents in the meter.
No policeman's going to give the Batmobile a ticket.
No matter, Robin. This money goes toward building better roads. We all must do our part. Good citizenship, you know?
I think I need to take a lesson from you about the parking meter because I have a lot of tickets.
You know, Animal, those moral and ethical lessons were a large part of the show for the little folks watching.
You think that's one of the reasons it might survive today on TV, that it would transfer over?
Absolutely right. And yet, you know, the adults could see the absurdity of it.
And absurdity to them still was teaching. Was still teaching.
Well, sure.
Yeah. If you could go back and change anything about Batman, if there was something about the show that you could change, what would it be?
Change?
Change anything.
You know, when I think, that's kind of an unusual question. What would I change? I might change some of the third season because the studio was cutting back with the costs. They simply wanted to go into reruns and make the money back, which you can understand. But I got very disenchanted in that third season because the writing and other things weren't quite as good. So I might change that.
Of the Batmans that followed, Batmans, plural, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite?
You know, that's interesting too because you know, they do their thing with The Dark Knight, and it's very carefully contrived for a certain audience. And we never did anything that was murderously dark or gothic. You know, we didn't kill anyone really, and there wasn't much bloodshed, if any, or guns shot. And, you know, the new Batman probably kills or injures more people on the way to the rescue than the villains. So what I think it is, they have their dark night, Animal, and we have our bright night. And thank you. In other words, we really tried to bring you folks fun with it.
Speaking of the Batmobile, you know, it just recently sold at an auction for close to $5 million. What do you think your favorite piece, you know, of memorabilia would be from the show?
I think the shark. No. Maybe the Bat Shield, because I had fun with it. You know, when you take a little thing out of a utility belt and it snaps into a large shape and you become impervious to any kind of attack or harm, I thought that was kind of neat. And there was a little trick about how to do that. I'd snap my fingers at a certain time in the dialogue, and then the prop man would get off his knees and hand me that thing, and we'd cut and go on. It's just movie magic nonsense. It's like going down the bat poles, for Pete's sakes.
On to other things. You've heard him in SpongeBob SquarePants and Fairly Odd Parents and movies like Meet the Robinsons, but of course, I think a lot of maybe my generation, maybe even younger, know you as the voice of the mayor of Quahog. So let's take a look at some of the highlights of your voice acting career.
Do you have to?
My God, I'm a tomato. Wrong. I'm 95% helium.
Focus on the lapels. That's where I carry most of my stress.
Now let's hear your fake laugh. The Bible declares an eye for an eye.
So let us now take our vengeance on this murderous ocean. You won't be hurting anyone anymore.
All right, cats, back in the bag. Come on, Fluffy. Come on, Mittens. Come on, Paul. What a ridiculous name for a cat. Paul, that's a person's name.
You can't plant sausage seeds, they said. Well, look at this.
I'm being a rascal and ringing people's doorbells and running away.
Then what are you still doing here?
It's my first house. I'm not very good at this. Thanks, folks.
How did that start? How did the start of doing voiceovers for kids' movies, TV shows? How did that start? And what was your first role?
Well, I've done voiceovers for years, Manimal, and I've done Disney films and different things, commercials, whatever. Because, as you get a little older and so on, and you think, now, could I really take that hassle of doing a series every day and sacrifice everything in your life for that? You kind of get second thoughts. So I'm really lucky that I was able to do voiceovers like The Gray Ghost. Oh, God, we may do a series like that.
Who was the first one to approach you about playing yourself in Family Guy? Who came to you about that?
Well, it's really a version of myself. It's the most idiotic, quirkier, dumb version I could come up with. And it was Seth MacFarlane who created it. And Seth had written a pilot for me. And we got along pretty well as far as comic sensibilities. And Seth called and I said, let me try that. I don't mind making fun of myself. I think it lends itself to a certain kind of comedy, where you try to be dignified, but it doesn't quite work.
If you can't laugh at yourself, who's going to laugh at you?
There you go. And I know that you folks out there have enjoyed making fun of me.
How much freedom do they give you? You give quite a bit? Is it kind of unscripted? Adam, we need you to throw a line here. This is what we're kind of going for.
The writers with Family Guy really like to write for my character. And when I go in to do it, I get a lot of freedom. The nicest thing for an actor is to be trusted with your work and what you're trying to do with the character and how it's coming off. And so they trust me and they allow me the freedom to improvise a bit. But the writers are so right on with that stuff for Mayor Wee.
Think Mayor West might ever get his own show? Yeah, they broke Cleveland off, of course. Just curious if maybe Mayor West might get his own show.
Well, there's gossip about it. I don't know.
What do you think your favorite Mayor West one-liner or bit, would be?
Man, let's see. Who stole my water? Somebody stole my water. Lines like that are crazy. Or when he tries to stab, I think we saw the ocean, to attack the ocean. The catapult. With the cat gun.
The cat's name is Paul.
And, I just think nutty things like Adam West, Adam West.
So on shows like Simpsons, Family Guy, where you pretty much are playing yourself, you don't have any problems poking fun at yourself. As we've kind of gone over, you have no problem with that, which a lot of people would. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to look like that on TV.
You know, I found that people are a lot smarter than many people give them credit for in Hollywood. And I think there's a certain acceptance of an actor or someone, a celebrity, whatever, who can make fun of himself or herself. And don't you agree, folks, that, you know, it's no big deal. You know, we're nothing special. So if, you know, we can make fun of ourselves occasionally, I think it's endearing to an audience.
So, yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
So 2012, you get your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and you know that was a big deal. Obviously, you are the 2,468th star.
Took me a long time.
What do you think it was that finally, you know, got you the 2,468th star? What do you think it was that finally sealed the deal on that?
Well, can you believe I'm between Olivia de Havilland and Judy Garland? Isn't that nice? And in front of the Guinness Book of World Records store. And I think I have a world record as the one who waited the longest for the star on the sidewalk. I would never pay them. I wouldn't pay for that, so guess what? The fans got together and bought that star. Thank you. I mean, I was so touched by it. I really feel grateful.
Who all was there? Who was at the ceremony?
Well, Seth MacFarlane and Ralph Garman and my entire family, most of them, and except the one crazy one. No, I won't talk about that. But familiar faces. You know, people who've done the show and been around it and other things.
Anybody you'd like to work with again?
I think just about all of them. Just send the check. I'm a realist.
There's a comic book series, even called The Misadventures of Adam West.
Yes.
And, you know, how does something like that happen?
Search me. A comic book company wanted to do a comic book idea based on their perception of me as a crime fighter and so on. And I said, well, what a nice compliment. Yes, let's take a look at that.
Do you have any projects in the works? Anything that's kind of bubbling under the surface that you see maybe coming out pretty soon? Projects that you're working on?
I've got a new series that I will host. It's all about, it's on the Travel Channel. It should start within several months, I guess. And then I'm doing more voiceovers for things. And I'm starring in 2 new multi-million-dollar movies. But wait a minute, I'm lying. You know, I have had the most wonderful career, folks, for which I am absolutely thankful. And, you know, a lot of it's luck. Now, I watched on television this afternoon in the hotel before I came over the news. And there I was on the news in the Nebo bookstore. And it was wonderful. And then at the end of the piece where they followed me around with the Nebo folks, they cut to Martin Scorsese at the Golden Globes. I thought how really kind of strange that is. You know, that they would go from me in a bookstore to Scorsese at the Golden Globes. But that's the nature of this business. And any of you folks who are thinking about becoming actors, writers, directors, whatever, in film, you know, it's a matter of persistence. And believe me, I don't mean to lecture or give an acting lesson, but you know, if you're not really aware of your own talent, and if you don't have the persistence, you ain't going to make it.
What do you think your greatest achievement has been as an actor? Your greatest achievement that, you know, overall everything from TV commercials to Batman to Family Guy.
Well, I have to answer that in a very mundane way. I think my greatest achievement has been being able to pay the bills much of the time and to have a family that is wonderful. You know, 6 kids and a great wife and a life that's been pretty good. But I've always put family first. As a matter of fact, there's a new documentary playing the film festivals, and I'm not being immodest, I hope. It's called Starring Adam West. And I think the essence of it is that I have always put family before anything else.
There's a lot to that. That's very credible. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you make an appearance at Comic-Con? I'm sure you've done the Comic-Con series, the events, the big comic book conventions. I'm sure you're in demand at those all the time.
I go to quite a few Comic-Cons, and they're wonderful because you get out and meet the fans, shake hands, have a little visit, whatever. And I think, some of the people in Hollywood who don't do that, they're really kidding themselves because their careers will be maybe 5 minutes. I've had 50 years of this nonsense.
And we thank you for those 50 years and so much more.
Oh, that's very nice. Thanks, folks. That's lovely.
We want to thank you once again. We want to thank your friends at the Nebraska Bookstore and Nebo. Now, Nebo, I guess, has a sweepstake going on right now where you can go online, you can play a game of rock, paper, scissors. And I was just wondering if maybe we could play just a quick game, just once, of rock, paper, scissors, real quick.
Sure.
Are we going on 3? 1, 2, 3.
Whoa.
Thank you, Adam West, for being with us today.
You guys can play all you want, and Nebo will sponsor this. And if, one of the reasons I've done this, textbooks are so expensive. The whole cost of education. If Nebo can sell you your textbooks or rent them for less than others, and they can, and they swear by this, it's a promise that they've made. They will come in 10% under your best deal.
Well, amazingly, they told me backstage that if everybody would check their seat right now, there's some free textbook rentals and some other cool prizes under your seats. Some of you will have some. And just check it right now. Free textbook rental card, maybe a free gift. And if you're one of the winners, you can present it at the bookstore to redeem your free rental. And if you want, of course, a shot at beating Adam in rock, paper, scissors, nebo.com/free for more details. And, of course, stop in a Nebraska bookstore for all your textbook and back-to-school results. So there you go. If you've got needs, Nebraska Bookstore's got them. Adam West, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks, Animal. Good to see you. Thank you, folks. You've been a lovely audience, and I'm just delighted that you showed up. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. You have any questions? Sure. We'll do a little Q&A. Yes, sir.
Do you think you'll make an appearance, or Warner Brothers will come up to you and say, hey, we want you in the new Justice League movie like they did with Spock in the new Star Treks?
No, not at all. They're so afraid. No, they have not.
What was your favorite actor to work with in the Batman TV show?
A favorite actress?
Actor. Villain.
You mean with Batman?
Yeah.
Well, I think probably it could have been Frank Gorshin as Riddler. He had this, yeah, thanks. He had this manic intensity, and he was really fun to work with. And I like to work on the edge like that. Another one might be Burgess Meredith as Pengy Baby. And of course, Catwoman. You little Dickens. Well, which Catwoman, Animal? I've got to be gracious and say I can't say. However, Because Julie Newmar said she would date me when she got out of jail. For good behavior. It may be Julie, yeah.
Earlier, you mentioned very briefly The Gray Ghost, which was an episode of Batman, The Animated Adventures. And for a lot of us, that was the first time we heard you connected with Batman early on. Do you remember that role, sir? That was a great episode, and you played this older character that inspired Batman. That was so cool and so wonderful. I wonder if you have any memories about that episode and work with Andrea Romano and the voice actors.
Well, that's good of you to say, and I enjoyed that. And I think they're talking about now doing a Grey Ghost series, which might be kind of neat, animated. Yeah, I enjoyed playing that thing. And now that my hair is silver.
What's your favorite bad guy from Batman?
What was your favorite bad guy from Batman?
The favorite bad guy, probably Riddler. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, when I was about 6 years old, I was at Aksarben in Omaha, and I believe I remember you and Burt Ward doing a stage show there. Do you have any memories of going around to doing live stage dressed as Batman, live appearances with Burt Ward? Any fond memories of that?
You know, years ago, Burt and I used to go out in costume and do these shows when I was starving. But I don't remember. You know, we did so many of those things. And if we were here in Omaha, I think I'd remember.
Well, I remember it, and as a kid, I was hypnotized.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Well, that's great. I'll be back.
Okay, this one's kind of related to Animal over there. Yes, you, Baldy. Anyway, how would you like to play Egghead and do a scene with Batman right now?
Exactly. You know, Vincent Price's Egghead was really wonderful. And the guy, you know, he was a wonderful kind of raconteur. And he just loved to drink and talk and have dinner, and he was very entertaining. You know, he had a wonderful career before Batman. He did so many of those old movies at MGM and around. Yeah.
Is there an actual town called Quahog?
Yes, there is, Animal. There is a Quahog. I was there about a month ago. Yeah. I was in Rhode Island, and so I said, is there a Quahog here? And somebody said, well, yeah, it's about 2 miles away. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to go near it. But I heard that there was a Quahog, Animal.
Yeah, Mr. West, I had a question about, you said you enjoyed working with Frank Gorshin, and the other day I was watching you and he doing a parody of Interview with a Vampire for MTV Music Awards.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you remember that and how that happened, because that was just hilarious, but it was so off the wall.
Well, thank you for remembering that. Yeah, that was really fun. What did I say? I am a Batman. Something like that, I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad you remembered that. Are you saying that you're not sure whether anybody else has seen my movie? This is a great beginning. Thank you. He's talking about a movie called Return to the Batcave, which we did for CBS. And that was based on a book that I wrote. Now, if you would like a copy of my book, adamwest.com. It's available. And it's selling like hotcakes. You'll learn all the darkest secrets from my past. And I have a video for sale. It's called Adam West Naked. In which I expose all of the backstage secrets from Batman. Anything more?
Mr. West, as a young boy, my first crush was on Yvonne Craig, and I wanted to know if you shared my taste.
Well, Yvonne told me about you, and I'm sorry that it didn't work out. She was fun. She really was. You know, I had the great pleasure of working with so many wonderful stars. And, you know, George Sanders playing Mr. Freeze, for example. You know, Oscar winners. Sammy Davis Jr. popping out of a window as we climbed the walls. You know, all of those things really contributed to the success of the show. And I never knew when I went to the studio with whom I might be standing face to face with that day doing scenes. So it was a little nervous-making. How about looking at a script as you're driving to the studio and you see the Batusi, which of course became the dance craze of the nation. I don't know whether you remember that silly thing, but you know, Batman was slipped a poison or a Mickey in his orange juice in the disco and got completely crazy dancing. He's a famous Hollywood agent. He's been haunting me. He said, impersonate Liberace. Liberace was the subject of a recent movie, right? Well, I worked with Liberace, and Liberace was really funny. and he played a character, you know, a villain and a concert pianist. He played a dual role. Now, as far as the villain was concerned, you'd see Liberace walking around the stage, you know, kind of rehearsing to himself and practicing, and it would be something like this. It was ridiculous. I'm going to get you. Yes, I am. And I'm going to hurt you a lot. George, where's my candelabra? It was nuts. There were so many others, you know, that you just, you know their work, and to go in and work with these people was a great joy, and like I said, very nervous-making from time to time.
Sing Miranda.
Would you please, somebody get rid of him? Security. I did a recording once. I had the flu. Now, this is true. I was in the hospital, Animal, and with the flu, and my agent came in, and he took my hand, and he put it on a contract, and he started to move my hand to sign this contract. And I signed it, and it was a contract to do a recording thing, you know, to sing. And I've been singing on a couple of shows, you know, I'll sing if you pay me. But they created or wrote a special song or two. They were so bad. Why would you embarrass me like this? Would you like to see my muscles dance, Miranda? It was just terrible. That's Miranda. Thanks, folks. You have no taste. Anyway, you've been a marvelous audience, really. I can't tell you how grateful I am that, you know, you show up and you've enjoyed the work. And I'm going to continue to do it to the best of my abilities. And I want to thank you. You've been terrific.
Thank you.